to all my fellow mates and respected Tina ma'am. I, Sayam Masalia from SECOMS, have chose to present on the topic Laplace transformation of periodic function. So first of all, I'd like to thank Tina ma'am to give us a wonderful opportunity to present our topic. So I'd like to start with a bit of introduction of my team. So this is me, Sayam Masalia, and my team, Suraj Tambe, Pawan Pujara, Kirti Gupta, and Rushali Solanki, under the guidance of Dr. Tina ma'am, which has helped us for the PPT and the material. And surely you can see all our sweet and innocent faces on the screen. Anyways, enough about us. Now let's focus on our topic here. Laplace transformation. In mathematics, a particular integral transform invented by the French mathematician Pierre-Simon Laplace, and systematically it was developed by the British physicist Oliver Heaviside to simplify the solution of many differential equations that describe physical processes. So now I'd like to pass on to Suraj Tambe to shed some more light on Laplace transformation and periodic functions. Suraj, to you.
Hello everyone, I am Suraj Tambe, SECOM, serial number 121. To understand Laplace transform of periodic function, let's start with Laplace transform. In mathematics, transforms are applied to transform a variable from one form to another to make the equation easy to handle. Laplace transform pretty much does the same thing. They transform higher order differential equation into a polynomial, from which is far easier than solving differential equation directly. But there are various transforms like Z transform, Fourier transform. What makes Laplace transform special is that they are defined for both stable and unstable systems, whereas Fourier transforms are defined only for stable systems. That's all the theory for Laplace transform. Now we will see it mathematically. Let f of t be the given function defined for all t greater than equal to 0. Then Laplace transform of function of t is defined by Laplace transform function of t equals to phi of s equals to integration 0 to infinity e raised to minus st f of t and differentiate with respect to time, where L is an operator and s is parameter, real or complex. Next slide. So now let's understand what are periodic functions. As the name says, periodic means appearing or occurring at intervals, and function means a relation or expression involving one or more variables. If we generalize it, we can say that a periodic function is a function that repeats its value at a regular interval. Example are the trigonometric functions which repeats at an interval of 2 pi radians. To understand it more clearly, let's take an example of sine wave. Next slide. Here we can see amplitude versus time graph of sinusoidal waveform having time period t. One positive half cycle and one negative half cycle make one full cycle of period t. At constant time t equals to 2 pi, the cycle is repeated from second cycle, third cycle up to infinity. Uh, where small t is a function of time and capital T is a time period. Next slide. Uh, so now we know what are periodic functions and we have studied Laplace transform. Let's apply the Laplace transform to periodic functions. Let f of t be a periodic function with period t. Then Laplace transform of periodic function equals to integration 0 to capital T e raised to minus st function of time period into differentiate with respect to time upon 1 minus e raised to minus s capital T. Or else we can say that Laplace transform of function of t equals to 1 upon 1 minus e raised to minus capital T integration 0 to t e raised to minus st f of t dt. This is generalized formula for Laplace transform of periodic functions. Now the question arises how to find that the function is periodic function or not. Simply it is given in the question that find the Laplace of periodic function or waveform is given. So now I would like to pass to Kirti Gupta to explain how this formula is derived. Over to you, Kirti.
Good afternoon, respected Tina ma'am and all my fellow friends who are present on this meet. This is Kirti Gupta. So now we'll begin with the proof for the periodic functions using Laplace transformation. So here we can see that the statement of the proof is if a function f of t is a periodic function with period t then Laplace transform of the function f of t is equal to 1 upon 1 minus e raised to minus st limit from 0 to t e raised to minus st f of t dt. So to begin with, we know that the standard formula of Laplace transformation is Laplace transformation of f of t is equal to 0 to infinity e raised to minus st f of t dt. We can see that this formula is in terms of t. So the next step for the proof would be replacing the term t by u. So the statement becomes u equal to 0 to infinity e raised to minus su f of u du. Since this proof is for periodic function and we know that a function is periodic if it repeats itself at regular time intervals. So we need to divide this limit u equal to 0 to infinity into regular time intervals. So when we elaborate this equation, Laplace transform of f of t is equal to u equal to 0 to infinity e raised to minus su f of u du. We get the divided time intervals as from u equal to 0 to t, then u equal to 2t to 2t, then u equal to 2t to 3t, and so on. Now here we can observe a pattern which is repeating, like whatever the lower limit is, the upper limit for the same is just increased by 1 unit. So we can write it in general as a limit from u equal to nt to n plus 1t, and hence the equation becomes Laplace transform of f of t is equal to u limit from u equal to 0 to t, then the function, and then limit from u equal to t to 2t, then the function, and so on. Here we can see that this equation is a sum of the time intervals, and I emphasize on the word sum. So we need, just to simplify this equation, we can include the summation function which is present in our equation 1. So we can conclude here like summation from n equal to 0 to infinity, limits from u equal to nt to n plus 1t, and then the function e raised to minus su f of u du. Now we can observe that this equation 1 is in terms of u, but for the proof we need to prove it that we need to bring a formula in terms of t. So we can proceed forward by considering that we need to get rid of the summation function which is present in equation 1 and the terms u, which means we need to replace the term u by t to get the final proof. Can I get the next slide, please? Okay, so here we begin by substituting u is equal to t plus nt, and when we differentiate this equation 2, we get du by dt is equal to 1 plus 0. When we differentiate the term t, we get the value as 1, and when we differentiate the term nt, we get the value as 0, since n and t both are constant. So here we get du is equal to dt. Now, so here we have found out that du is equal to dt. Now next we substitute u is equal to nt. And after this, when we go back to equation 2 and put the value of u as nt in equation 2, we get nt is equal to t plus nt. And therefore, nt from LHS and RHS gets cancelled, and finally we get t equals to 0. So this is what we have found the lower limit for our proof, which is t equal to 0. Now we move on to substitute u is equal to n plus 1t. Now again, if we go back to equation 2 and substitute the value of u as n plus 1t and then solve it further, we get that the small t is equal to capital T. Means the function of t is equal to the period of the time of the function. So up till now, we have found out the lower limit and upper limit for a formula and the value of u. So here, if we look back at equation 2, we can see that it is given that u is equal to t plus nt. This implies that the function of u, that is f of u, is equal to function of t plus nt, that is f of t plus nt. Can I get the next slide? Yeah. So here we can see, now here we are using the periodic property. So from the equation 2, we saw that f of u is equal to f of t plus nt. The periodic property states that f of t plus nt is simply f of t. So from this we can use we have used the periodic property over here. Now next we are moving forward by substituting the values which we have found previously. Like we found that the lower limit and upper limits of t, and we have found that f of du is equal to dt. So we are substituting in this equation. So L f of t is equal to summation from n equal to 0 to infinity, and the limits as t equal to 0 to t, which we just now found in the previous slide. And then here in the first equation, it was e raised to minus su. So in place of u, we have substituted t plus raised to minus s t plus nt f of t dt. So whatever we have done in this equation is written in the brackets, that forming equation 1 in terms of t, we took the limits from t equal to 0 to t equal to t and substituted u is equal to t plus nt from the equation 2, and also we substituted du is equal to dt. So now we are solving this equation e raised to minus st plus n plus t. When we just separate it, we get e raised to minus st and e raised to minus snt. Since e raised to minus snt is a constant, we have taken it out, and the equation 3 finally becomes summation from n equal to 0 to infinity e raised to minus snt, limits from t equal to 0 to t, e raised to minus st f of t dt. So up till now, we have almost done the proof, but still we have to get rid of this summation part, which is present, that is summation of n equal to 0 to infinity. So now we are just considering this part, that is summation from n equal to 0 to infinity e raised to minus snt. In this last equation, we can also write e raised to minus snt in terms of power of n. So that is what it is done in this last equation. Can I get the next slide, please? Yeah. So since this is a summation, we need to recall that the sequence for the summation, or the for elaboration for the summation function is the sum. If it is given like summation from n equal to 0 to infinity for a term, then the elaboration for that will be 1 plus the term plus the term's square plus the cube of the term, and so on. So that is what is exactly done in this first equation. That is, here the term is e raised to minus snt. So we have done that only, 1 plus e raised to minus st. For in the second term, it's n equal to 1. So for n equal to 2, it will become the square. For n equal to 3, it will become the cube. Now we can see, when we observe this equation, we can recall that this somewhat looks like a geometric series of the form 1 plus r square, 1 plus r square plus r cube, and so on. And if we substitute the term e raised to minus st in place of r, we get the same equation. Okay, so this represents a geometric series. Now we also need to recall that the sum to infinity of this geometric series is known to be 1 upon 1 minus r, where r has to be less than 1. So here we are concerned about sum to infinity, because we can see that the previous equation, the equation in the beginning is represents the summation of the same term, by replacing n equal to 0, n equal to 1. Hence, we need to work through sum to infinity. So when we substitute this sum to infinity as 1 upon 1 minus r in the equation which is at the beginning, we get summation from n equal to 0 e raised to minus st, where we have substituted r equal to e raised to minus st. So from the equation 3 and 4, like the equation which we found before this, which where we found the equation in terms of u in terms of t, and we replaced the limits in terms of t. Just we were supposed to get rid of the summation part, so we are substituting this equation 4 and 3 in the first equation, and hence finally we get this proof as Laplace transform of the periodic function with period t is equal to 1 upon 1 minus e raised to st, limits from t equal to 0 to t equal to t, e raised to minus st, f of t dt. That's it. I hand over to Vrushali for continuing the PPT. Over to you, Vrushali.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Roshali Solanki. We are going to solve this problem here, where f of t is equal to 2t by 3 from the limits 0 to 3. Since we don't know the formula, Laplace f of t is equal to 1 upon 1 minus e raised to minus st integration 0 to t e raised to minus st f of t dt. Here we are substituting the value of f of t and the limits 0 to 3. So 1 upon 1 minus e raised to minus 3s integration 0 to 3 e raised to minus st into 2t upon 3 dt. In the further step, as 2 by 3 is common, we have taken outside from the integration, and we are applying here uv. So u into integration of v minus derivative of u integration of v. So here we get t into e raised to minus st, since s is common above here. So we are dividing it with minus s minus 1, since the derivative of t is 1, and integration of second part, that is v, e raised to minus st upon s square with the limits 0 to 3. Now in the further steps, we are substituting limits in the place of t. So 2 by 3, 1 upon 1 minus e raised to minus 3s into bracket 3 e raised to minus 3s upon minus s minus e 3 raised to minus 3s upon s square plus 1 upon s square. If we substitute 3 over here, we get this value, and by substituting 0 over here, this terms get discarded, and e raised to 0 is 1, so plus 1 by s square. In the next step, since the denominator of these two terms is common, so we are writing it collectively as 1 minus e raised to minus 3s upon s square. So this step would be 2 by 3 into 1 upon 1 minus e raised to minus 3s into 3 e raised to minus 3s upon minus s plus 1 minus e raised to minus 3s upon s square. Therefore, we get our result as Laplace of 2t by 3 is equal to 2 e raised to minus 3s upon minus s 1 minus e raised to minus 3s plus 2 upon 3s square. This is our further sum, which is also known as sawtooth wave method. Here f of t is equal to kt upon t within the limits 0 to t. Here also it is f of t plus t is equal to f of t. Since f of t is periodic with periodic t, f of t is periodic with period t, Laplace of f of t is equal to 1 upon 1 minus e raised to minus st integration 0 to t e raised to minus st f of t dt. In the next step, we are writing the value of f of t. So 1 upon 1 minus e raised to minus st integration 0 to t e raised to minus st kt upon t. dt. In the further step, as kt is common, so we are taking it outside of the integration. Since we get 1 upon 1 minus e raised to minus st, k upon t, integration 0 to t, e raised to minus st t dt. In the next step, we are applying UV rule. So u into derivative of u into integration of v minus derivative of u integration of v. So 1 upon 1 minus e raised to minus st into k upon t into bracket t e raised to minus st upon minus s minus e raised to minus st upon s square, since the derivative of t is minus 1 within the limits 0 to t. In the next part, we are substituting the limits in the place of t. So k upon t 1 minus e raised to minus st t e raised to minus st upon minus s minus e raised to minus st upon s square plus 1 upon s square. In the next step, as these two parts have the denominators common, so we are writing this collectively. So therefore, k upon t 1 minus e raised to minus st into bracket t into e raised to minus st upon minus s plus 1 upon s square into 1 minus e raised to minus st. So therefore, if we multiply this term inside the bracket, we get Laplace f of t is equals to minus k e raised to minus st upon s 1 minus e raised to minus st plus k upon t s square. Now next sum, here f of t is equal to cos omega t within the limits 0 to pi by omega and 0 within the limits pi by omega to 2 pi by omega. Here, since we know the formula, 1 upon 1 minus e raised to minus st integration 0 to t e raised to minus st f of t dt. So in the next step, we are substituting the value of t and f of t. So therefore, 1 upon 1 minus e raised to minus 2 pi s by omega. Since t is equal to 2 pi by omega, so therefore we have substituted 2 pi by omega here. Now integration 0 to 2 pi by omega e raised to minus st f of t dt. Here we are splitting the limits. So 1 upon 1 minus e raised to minus pi s by omega into integration of 0 to pi by omega e raised to minus st. Since here f of t, since for the limit 0 to pi by omega, f of t is cos omega t, and for the limit pi by omega to 2 pi by omega, f of t is 0. Now as this is multiplied by 0, this term would be discarded. Now in the further step, since we know that integration e raised to ax cos bx dx is equals to e raised to ax upon a square plus b square, a cos bx plus b sin bx. So we will use this formula for solving this term. So therefore, Laplace of f of t is equals to 1 upon 1 minus e raised to minus 2 pi s by omega into e raised to minus st upon s square plus omega square minus s into cos omega t plus omega sin omega t within the limits 0 to pi by omega. Now since cos pi is minus 1, for solving the limits, cos pi is minus 1, and in the second term, sin pi is 0. So this sin pi term will be discarded. And while solving the lower limit, cos 0 is 1. And while solving second term, minus minus would be plus. So therefore, 1 upon 1 minus e raised to minus 2 pi s by omega into s into e raised to minus pi s by omega plus s upon s square plus omega square. Now in this further step, since s and s, so we are taking it as a common term. So therefore we get 1 plus e raised to minus pi s by omega upon s square plus omega square into 1 minus e raised to minus pi s by omega. In the next step, we are using, since this term is present in the form of a square minus b square, so we are splitting this term into a plus b into a minus b. So therefore, s into a plus e raised to minus pi s by omega upon s square plus omega square 1 minus e raised to minus pi s by omega into 1 plus e raised to minus pi s by omega. And this term would be cancelled. So therefore we get Laplace f of t is equals to s upon s plus omega square into 1 minus pi s by omega. Now I request to explain the further terms to Pawan Pujara.
Good afternoon. Greetings to Tina ma'am and my fellow mates. My name is Pawan Pujara and my serial number is 97. So I'm gonna explain the uses and applications of the Laplace transformation. Domain conversion. Basically, a Laplace transform will convert a function in some domain into a function in another domain without changing the value of a function. And Laplace transformation of periodic functions is used to convert frequency domain into time domain. Differential equation. It reduces linear differential equation to algebraic equation, which can then be solved by formal rules of algebra, and it is also used to solve differential equations. Engineering applications. In electrical circuits, a Laplace transform is used to analysis of linear time invariant systems. Laplace transform is widely used by electronic engineers to quickly solve the differential equations occurring in the analysis of electrical circuits. Machine learning. Machine learning focuses on prediction based on all known properties learned from the training data, where Laplace equation is used to determine the prediction and to analyze the step of knowledge in databases. Digital signal processing. Laplace is heavily used in signal processing. Using Laplace or Fourier transform, we can study signal in frequency domain. Laplace transformation is used in processing data signals during their transmission. For instance, if signal is smooth over time, it means frequency domain is likely to be small frequencies. Similarly, the concept of filtering data is based on a frequency domain interpretation, that is catching and cleaning of errors generated during transmission of computer data. I'll further pass it over to Sayyam Masalia to explain the further uses.
Okay. Thank you, Pawan. So I'll continue with other uses. So next would be the system modeling. So as Pawan implied, that the Laplace transformation is very powerful method for solving differential equations because the basis of the mathematical model used to describe and simulate the analyzed process is a system of ordinary differential equations. So as a result, it's obtained a single algebraic equation in terms of the complex variable s. So that's how it's used in system modeling. The next one is process control. Laplace transformation plays a key role in important process control concepts and techniques. It helps to analyze the variables which can be altered and help to produce desired manipulations in the result. And the last use for a topic is nuclear physics, very important. And in order to get the true form of radioactive decay, a Laplace transform is used. It makes studying analytic part of nuclear physics possible. So, just to conclude, the Laplace transformation of periodic function, though being a small topic, is very crucial for us. So I'd like to thank everyone for being with us and listening to us. And I'd also like to thank Kirti Gupta for writing everything. Your efforts are highly appreciated. So thank you again. Goodbye.